Okay, so we're just going live on LinkedIn. Good morning. Well, good morning. We're live on LinkedIn and I think we're live on YouTube as well. Good to see you, Andy. Good morning. Who else have we got with us? Let's just have a look at the participant list. Jacob, welcome. Tina and Alistair, feel free to start your webcams, connect your audio and join on this masterclass session. So just to put it into context, this is a 13-week program that I run. 45 minutes, it's literally 30 minutes of me just talking about a specific lead generation topic. We then explore that as a group. So appreciate all your input as well. This week we're down here on week 11, leveraging blogs and LinkedIn newsletters. So if you've never got a LinkedIn newsletter, you've come to the right place because we're going to explore that in a bit of detail, look at a content strategy around LinkedIn newsletters as well. So that's the topic for today. On the agenda, we're going to explore, I'm going to do a quick introduction, and then we're going to dive into how to create a blog strategy that aligns with your business goals and your target audience. We'll cover topics such as choosing the right topics to talk about, and think about using SEO best practices, like promoting your blog as well through various channels. We'll then dive into key elements like creating a successful newsletter, look at subject lines, the content structure, having a really powerful call to action, and also explore how to segment your audience and tailor your newsletters to their kind of interests and needs. We'll then share some tips on best practices to kind of where to promote that newsletter and what to do about it. We'll look at the different types of LinkedIn posts and how you can use hashtags effectively, how you can engage with your audience through commenting and shares on the back end of those posts, which is really, really good. After that, we'll discuss how to measure and further optimize your newsletters. Establishing KPIs, things like that are going to be really helpful. We'll cover topics such as website traffic, email open, click-through rates, social media engagement metrics, which are going to be vital to start measuring those things. And then finally, we'll open up some Q&As at the very end and just see what people are up to. But I would love to know where you're at currently in terms of blogs and LinkedIn newsletters. Have any of you currently got a LinkedIn newsletter or blog? Andy's shaking your head no. Brian's here this morning, and
I do blog posts for my website.
Okay, yeah.
But I've just got a new website and I've got a section which is called past work, and I write a kind of blog piece with some pictures, but I'd really like to be able to adapt that for LinkedIn as well.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, you can reuse that content. It's ideal. Morning, Brian. Just kind of running through the topic this morning. Any experience of regular blogs or LinkedIn newsletters? Good to hear where you're at on this subject. You're muted still, Brian. It's that classic old Zoom trick.
I read some blog posts a few years ago, but they were never regular. They were fairly long, and I don't think they got a huge readership.
Yeah. So in terms of LinkedIn, I think a lot of people are going for the short form strategy, 150 words to no more than 1,500 words in terms of content. People don't have more than 3 minutes. So if it's taking them too long to get through it and there's no clear call to action, that's it. They get bored and they want to jump off elsewhere. But great. A couple of comments in the chat. Jacob, yes, blog and website and LinkedIn newsletter. It'd be good to hear your experience of that as well, Jacob. And Tina also, she's got a newsletter on something called Substack. I've not heard of Substack. That's a new one to me, Tina. So maybe you'll give us a bit more information about that. Great. So just quickly do a quick introduction. Who am I? So I'm the founder of Leadith, which we're a powerful lead generation agency, and we exist to support business owners achieve their sales goals through automating their lead generation on LinkedIn. And good morning also to Paul, who's joining us on the call today. Guys, why don't you do a quick intro? Andy, do you want to just introduce who you are, what you do? This is going out to LinkedIn as well, so super snappy, 30 seconds, go for it. Oh, you're muted. Oh, yeah, there you go.
My name's Andy Well. I'm a photographer. I've been a photographer for about 40 years now. I have a family portrait studio in Charminster in Dorchester, but I also am a commercial photographer. That's my background. So I struggle to get business in the commercial field down here in Dorset. And I've been focusing on LinkedIn because it's obviously business to business media. And I really want to try and find out what I can get from LinkedIn and put myself in front of anyone who might need a photographer. So that's why I'm here, really.
Great. Thanks, Andy. Great to have you with us. And Brian, just a quick intro, let the world know who you are, what you're about, and
Yep.
be great.
I've spent my career teaching people finance and business, and in some cases other things like leadership skills and change management through games and simulations. And that business is now in the hands of a younger team, and I'm starting a new venture of doing online coaching in business and financial understanding. And that's what I'm looking to build out on LinkedIn.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brian. And anyone else who's on the live Zoom call, feel free to hop on. I can see Jacob. Jacob, do you want to give us a quick intro? You're muted at the moment. No. Anyone else on the Tina or? No one else on the call brave enough to come forward. That's fine. So yeah, in terms of LinkedIn newsletters and kind of where that sits in this whole marketing funnel. So this is the classic. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jacob. He's gone. Okay, so this is the classic marketing model to describe that customer journey from their initial touch point, where they're interested, and then they go down, consider you, down to that purchase stage, and then weighing up their options, and then retention is where you're keeping them as a loyal customer. So the LinkedIn newsletter fits really nicely in that awareness, interest, and consider stage, because obviously it's you can promote the LinkedIn newsletter, so that's kind of awareness, top end of the funnel. But when they're actually coming into that newsletter, they kind of know a bit about you. They thought, yeah, I'm actually going to read this thing, and that's where they're kind of at that interest stage, I would say. Consider is more looking at reviews, recommendations, testimonials, and things like that. But certainly the interest stage is a powerful stage for that piece of content. And if you're running LinkedIn campaigns, obviously the awareness stage is when you're initially connecting with people, reaching out to them, and then that's a nice thing that you can push people to. Certainly if it's kind of there's regular updates on there as well, it gives you more opportunities to then promote that post. So obviously that's an updated version. We call it the flywheel effect, where you attract customers, you're engaging with them, delighting with them, they become powerful advocates and raving fans, and then that in turn attracts more people into what it is you're doing. So I guess LinkedIn newsletters kind of fit around number 7 on our kind of roadmap. I've called it video content marketing, number 5, sorry, but it's kind of it's content. It's putting content out there, thought leadership, whatever that stuff's about. It's adding to the mix of everything that we're doing. So I would kind of stick LinkedIn newsletters in that number 5 with video content. I think I might reword that to just content marketing as opposed to just solely video. But videos obviously a very powerful way of doing it. Polls are very good. But yeah, LinkedIn newsletters, I've seen some really good results, and we'll come to that in a bit later. But this is the Leadith Pro roadmap, where we take clients on this journey of understanding their target audience, building out their personal profile so it appeals to that target audience. We look at LinkedIn outreach automation, setting up campaigns that are constantly working in the background on your behalf, nudging prospects. And then there's a nice follow-up piece, which is the email outreach. And then, we kind of surround that with content. And then the appointment setting and systems is about kind of making sure leads aren't falling through the cracks, but you've got a robust system for capturing that interested lead or prospect and making sure they're nurtured to the next step in your sales process. So just a quick stat here. So blogging and newsletters is not a new concept. It's been around in the world of marketing for many years. But did you know that there's still kind of the two most effective ways at generating leads? And a fantastic way to grow your business online. According to a recent survey, companies that prioritized blogging were apparently 13 times more likely to achieve a positive ROI. I know it says 13% there, but it should say an X. 13 times more likely to achieve a positive ROI. And further studies have also showed that when it comes to newsletters, some companies have achieved, 4,400% ROI. So really impressive ROIs by having this piece of content structure. So whether you're new to blogging and newsletters, or you're just looking to take your current efforts to the next level and repurpose it onto a different platform, which is really good, you're in the right place. So in the next couple of 25 minutes or so, we'll cover these strategies, tactics, so you can start to leverage these powerful tools and maximize it for lead generation and growth. So let's get started. So we've covered the importance of blogging and newsletters, and for lead generation, that's a really powerful tool. So let's dive into how to create a blog strategy that's going to align with your business goals and your target audience. And obviously, having this well-executed blog strategy is going to help you to position your brand as a thought leader in your industry. It's going to help you to drive more traffic to your website and campaigns, and ultimately generate you more leads. That's the aim of the game here. So the first step in building out this successful blog strategy is choosing the right topics. And you want to create content that's going to be super relevant to your target audience. And then it also needs to align with your business goals and objectives. So hopefully you've done a bit of work around, what it is you're offering and that audience. So you can conduct research into what your target audience is searching for and what topics are currently trending in your specific industry. And you can use tools like Google Trends, BuzzSumo. They're popular tools that people use to identify trending topics and keywords. So it could be in the world of AI. I mean, AI is a huge thing. It's blown up. And people are really kind of hopping onto that bandwagon now, and there's a lot of talk about it. So you could maybe look at how I can leverage AI in what I'm doing in my industry, or create some really interesting articles about, what AI is doing in my industry. That might be a really good approach to have. So once you've chosen the right topics, it's important to then to kind of optimize those topics and think about SEO, because SEO is all about search engines finding that data, finding that content, and understanding your topic and how it's laid out can have a huge impact of that being found in Google, which is going to attract more people to your post, more people to your website. So keywords is obviously really cool. There's lots of good keyword tools out there which will help you to identify the types of long tail keyword strings that you need to be including within your posts and newsletters. And when you start to include that, that's going to help you, rank and get more traffic. So think about using, there's some really good AI tools that will help you to kind of do this and write this content. If you've got a website, there's some great SEO plugins that you can just feed in a title, and it will spit out all the right keywords that you need to be then using that are, that have got a good audience on those keywords in search, in terms of people searching for those keywords on Google. You need to make sure the website's optimized for mobiles and devices, and and that more people can then access that content from their phone. So think about, is it readable for SEO? The beauty with LinkedIn is obviously it's heavily already optimized. They've done all that optimization work for you for mobiles, for tablets and desktops. So however you produce that content on LinkedIn as a newsletter, it will sort it out. It will reduce the images all for you, and it should look beautiful. Whereas if you're doing it yourself through a website blog, you've got to think about these things and have a look and check on the mobile and just double check that it's all really coherent with the rest of your site. Finally, think about how we're going to start promoting this blog and what various channels do you have at your disposal. So this can be simply sharing your posts on the social media channel. So LinkedIn is really, really good. And once you create a LinkedIn newsletter, the first thing it will do is it'll directly push that out to all your first degree connections. And I think it comes up under notifications, although I'm not 100% sure where those newsletters appear, because I don't see too many other people's, but where I do see them is in the feeds. So people actually promoting the newsletter in a feed. If you're present in any other social media platforms or other sites, link it back to your social media thing. Or if you want the traffic to your website, it's linking that on directly to your website. And if you've got things like Google Analytics in place, that will help you, because that will help you identify where the traffic source is coming. So it will say which social media platform is drawing in the most of those sources for that for traffic. So Google Analytics is really powerful. So it'll help you identify which channel is really working well for you in terms of generating more traffic. So in summary, when you're building out this blog strategy, remember choosing those right topics. That's quite key, quite powerful. Use SEO best practices. So adding in the keywords, some clear titles, kind of bit of an intro. So a breakdown of what the article is about in the first paragraph, and just, break it down. So if they want to jump to a specific part, they know exactly where it is and they can go down to that. You make sure it's quite visual, because a lot of people aren't just readers. A lot of people like to see imagery and plenty of pictures. So keeping it quite visual is quite good as well. I've seen other people embed videos. It could be videos off site. Things like a YouTube video link can be embedded within a LinkedIn post, which is quite cool. So in summary, that's just a few top tips in terms of how you can start to execute this blog strategy and position your brand as a thought leader to drive more traffic to your website. So when we look at the actual content in terms of we've talked about the kind of blogging, we're going to have a bit of a focus around newsletters. Much the same thing. Blogging can be very sporadic, whereas I think newsletters are kind of a bit more structured. They're kind of going out a bit more regularly, and it's clearer. People kind of know what the objectives are with a newsletter, I feel, whereas blogging can be, a few thoughts on this subject or a few thoughts on that subject. So how do we create newsletters that are really going to stand out from the rest? Let's dive into some top tips here. So the key elements of creating successful newsletters, you've got to firstly consider, let's have a look at this first point. So obviously the subject line is going to be quite a key one. The content structure, and also the call to action, or the CTA. As long as we've got kind of those three things, we're doing something right. If you're forgetting the call to action, it's kind of like a wasted opportunity. If you're not getting a punchy subject line on that newsletter title, you're kind of losing out a little bit, and people are going to get a bit lost and not see it. So a good subject line to really grab the grab the reader's attention is going to really help to entice them to kind of read more and learn more about it. And that content structure that we speak of, I mean, that needs to be, we need to make this content really easy for them to kind of read and digest. So using a kind of clear heading system. So if it may be a subheading, that's going to really help as well. But yeah, the call to action, try to make them prominent throughout the newsletter as well, because quite often people will just put a big 1,000-word dump of text, and then they'll just have a little call to action at the very end. It's going back through and making sure that call to action is, at the end of each subheading title or whatever you want the next step to be, put it in there, because some people will just read a section of the newsletter and then they'll shoot off. So we need to catch them at almost every little subheading, just before the next subheading. Make sure there's a small call to action or something, and it can be a subtle URL hyperlink. We can throw buttons in there and other things like that as well. Segmenting the audience. So obviously, if you've got a bit of a blog audience and you've built up an email marketing list, then one of the powerful things you can do is start to segment that list based on their interests and their needs. So you can tailor the newsletters to each group and provide them with content that's relevant to them. So it could be that you've got two different angles of what you're doing. I know Andy mentioned he's got the commercial side of things, but there's also the kind of the weddings and the kind of non-commercial side, the one-off family stuff. So if you can start to segment that audience, that really helps you, because then you can deliver content that's going to be commercially focused content, rather than just trying to hit everyone with everything you do. Try and niche down and segment because I think that will really help you, because then the newsletters are going to be really relevant to the specific audience. And it's okay from time to time to wing in a bit of content, because it helps people understand what else you can do, and then it kind of sparks conversations. But as a general rule, I would kind of niche down to that audience, think about that audience, think about the content that they want. And that's quite important when we're going around collecting email addresses and building that audience as well. So there's tools that can help you to segment the audience. Within LinkedIn, obviously you can go to your first degree network and you can do a bit of filtering based on those first degree connections. And then with a LinkedIn newsletter, you can also boost that newsletter with paid advertising on the LinkedIn platform, and you can have a lot more control in terms of who you push that LinkedIn newsletter out to. So it's a bit like you can pay to boost a post, and you can be very specific on the audience who needs to see that post. Ties into 2 weeks ago when we looked at LinkedIn ads. So there's a little bit about kind of tailoring that content, using different types of content. Yep. So once we've segmented the audience, think about that audience, and that audience might have a specific way of reading stuff from you. They might prefer videos, they might prefer infographics and kind of stats and details. So depending on that audience, think about how we can respond to that audience, what the best method would be. I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example of that for what you guys are doing, but it's down to you. You kind of need to know your audience and just tweak what you do and deliver it in a way that's going to really resonate with them. So once we've got these key elements of a successful newsletter, we've segmented the audience, and we can start to create some really engaging content, and that's going to provide really good value to our audience and help kind of drive conversions. So it is a test and measure process, as with anything we do in marketing. Keep testing, have a look at the stats, see what newsletters getting more opens, and that will help you to understand your audience in a bit more detail. So in today's digital world, often social media platforms are an essential tool for businesses to promote their content to that wider audience. And LinkedIn, that's been my focus, and it's particularly a really powerful platform for B2B businesses. It's got over 700 million users worldwide, so it's a huge pool of huge resources of people if you're thinking about B2B or commercial. And when kind of you're promoting those posts and newsletters on LinkedIn, it's important to keep in mind the different types of posts that are available. So you can actually explore articles. So article is what becomes a LinkedIn newsletter. You can put images on the platform, you can put video content on the platform, and you can put polls. So polls is where you put a question out there to your audience and you say, which would you prefer, A, B, C, or D? Blah, blah, blah. That's really good to get good engagement. And rather than just a basic text post, I don't think the algorithm, treats them the same. I think they'll just get lost. So think about snazzing it up. A bare minimum, a post with an image is vital. Create it visually. If you can go down the video route and have build up a repository of lots of small, snappy videos, that's really going to help. Another aspect of promoting the content is to use hashtags. So once you've created that newsletter and you want to put it out there, think about relevant hashtags that effectively describe what your newsletter is about. And that's going to help people that are outside of your network. So people that are kind of third degree and beyond, they'll stumble across that hashtag and hopefully they'll find your content as they search for the hashtag on LinkedIn. So I tend to add around about 5 hashtags. I don't think there's a magic number. I've not seen too much research about it, but 5 is kind of where I kind of pitch it, and that will help you to make your content more discoverable. Once you've created the content and people are engaging with it in the comments, if you can respond back to them in a timely manner, then that's really good. That's helps you to get a bit of feedback in terms of that content, and helps you to then kind of start to build relationships. You might get a few new connections as a result of it. So we also mentioned LinkedIn's advertising tools. So really powerful if you're getting so many leads as a result of a newsletter, then when you start to drive more funds into that campaign through paid advertising, that's going to kind of ramp up what you're doing almost. So there's lots of different LinkedIn ad methods. I recommend watching the video on LinkedIn paid advertising, which I did around about 2 weeks ago or so, because that'll help you to kind of plan that bit out, which is quite powerful as well. So yeah, and then quickly moving on here, obviously measuring and optimizing your results. Within LinkedIn, you can access a plethora of data to see what you're doing. I mean, the typical ones that I would measure, so if you just go into LinkedIn here, you've got analytics and tools that pops up under your profile. Let me just close all of my chats, got hundreds of people. So the key ones here that you can track here are post impressions, total followers, page views. So if you, for example, if it was profile views, somewhere you get a little graph. Here we go. It's just loading. And you can look at this graph and you can say, you know, for the last year, and you'll see the spikes, you'll see where they're happening. So this spike here, around about March the 15th, that related to me putting out my first LinkedIn newsletter. So it was around about 3 months ago when we did this newsletter training. And as an experiment, that's when I created my own LinkedIn newsletter. So it really is a great way of spiking the algorithm and getting a lot more people to your LinkedIn profile. So once you've created the LinkedIn and optimized the LinkedIn profile, if you want to get some of these bigger spikes in, it's creating that regular newsletter content to put it out to the audience. Now, newsletters sit in, so if you go to view profile, if you've not created one, it's worth setting up creator mode on LinkedIn. You can do that within your profile settings under edit public profile and URL. There's an option there to enable that. But you want to go down to, so I've just got a LinkedIn newsletter. There's only 3 articles that have gone out on my LinkedIn newsletter. My newsletter is a bit quirky because I don't actually talk about what I do in terms of lead generation. It's exploring my faith as a Christian and as an entrepreneur. And basically, I talk about different things. So my first newsletter was about my personal story. I've then got some ideas for other Christian entrepreneurs, and then I've got some thoughts about the Archbishop, because I actually met the Archbishop a couple of weekends ago, which was quite an experience. And what I'm finding is it's getting a lot of engagement. I mean, the first one was 20, but if you actually look at the subscribers, I've almost got 1,000 subscribers to this, and this is quite a niche thing here. It's just putting yourself out there. Obviously, you can run newsletters on your company side. I think there is I'm not sure if there's a requirement for a minimum of 150 connections already on your company page, but obviously you could run this on a company page and have more of a company focus, because that's what I'm building up to. I'm building up to getting that 150 people on my LinkedIn newsletter. And once you've created the newsletter, it's just a matter of going in, setting a date in your calendar every month just to keep it update. And it's literally just pop a headline in, pop a really nice headline image that's going to really attract people. And then you can build this out into little sections. You can say, right, I want an image, a video. I can even drop a slide deck in there, or I can drop a link to another website, which is quite cool. So that will come up as a dedicated link within the post. Again, great call to action. And snippet is for kind of developers who are typing code and stuff in. So yeah, I don't really need to use snippets, but you build these sections out and then you go and publish it. So within the publishing menu, you can actually schedule it to be published at a certain date and time, which is really powerful. LinkedIn does all the work in terms of putting that out to all your first degree connections. So I'm about just short of 10,000 connections, first degree connections on LinkedIn. And what I'm seeing is around about 10% of those have requested to sign up to the newsletter and get the newsletter updates. So think about the size of your network. If you've got 5,000 connections already on LinkedIn, potentially, based on my stats, I mean, you could look to get a good 500 people regularly wanting to see your content, wanting to see what you're about. And it's just another opportunity to kind of build those relationships with people. So yeah, that's kind of LinkedIn newsletters. Be good to hear from you guys. Any big sort of takeaways from this little bit of training on LinkedIn newsletters? where you're at. Any questions? Be good to kind of hear from everyone else.
So how often do you do it? Once?
Personally, once a month. I'm trying to build up. What I do is I have a little notepad here, and if I think, oh, that's a really good idea for a newsletter paragraph or something, and literally I'll have, by the end of the month, each week I've got something significant that week that I can just write down and expand on and talk about. Use ChatGPT. Everybody's using AI, and there's nothing, if you want to expand your thoughts and ChatGPT to bring in a bit more content, and that's really good as well. So yeah, it shouldn't take too long. The beauty is the newsletter, it's less than half an hour to put it together, chuck an image on there and put it out there, but it's got huge reach and it's really powerful in terms of drawing people in.
And do you just use one story at a time, one subject at a time?
Yeah, I tend to. I mean, I'm not, in terms of the content strategy, I'm kind of going against what I'm teaching. It's purely just a personal thing that I put out there. So mine's more of a blog that's out there on LinkedIn at the moment. I'd love to get it to a stage where I can just talk all about Leadif and throw industry information about AI and LinkedIn lead gen stuff, and I'll do that on the company one. So yeah, that's on my. Thanks for Andy for put that set up a company LinkedIn newsletter. That'd be really powerful.
And the newsletter, do you put it on your main page as a post as well?
In terms of your website?
No, I mean on my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So when I publish the newsletter, that will come up on my page, yeah? Yeah,
as soon as you create that LinkedIn post, the first thing LinkedIn automatically asks you is, do you want to promote this with a post? And that's when you can add a bit of text saying, I've just released this new newsletter, boom. If you're in any groups within LinkedIn, so groups is another great place. So, if it is purely just newsletter, adding value, bit of a white paper, thought leadership, whatever that sort of content is that you're putting out there, groups are a really good place to put that out there. And that will get people to, find you. You as an author, you get highlighted at the top of the newsletter, and you also get highlighted at the bottom of the newsletter, and it writes a bit more about you as well. So yeah, it's just it's a great feature to utilize.
So I don't think I'm a part of many groups on LinkedIn, but as far as group for promoting the business and getting leads and work, shouldn't I be a member of groups for potential customers?
Yeah, so I would do strategic partners in terms of businesses that align nicely with you. So people that are going after your same audience. So I'm trying to think, people that need commercial photography.
Yeah, so like, for example, HR.
Potentially, yeah. But I mean, even if, it could be like videography groups, because videography groups is the same people that would potentially use your photography skill set. So, and then, wedding planning and stuff like that. I know it's a bit off there. It's Facebook, it's a different platform, but if you've got any specific niche wedding groups on Facebook, if you can join them and then promote the business side, the post on, Facebook. So it's kind of leveraging people away from Facebook, get them into LinkedIn if possible.
So if you was on Facebook, could you share the link to this post?
Yeah, share the LinkedIn post. So basically. So that'd be one strategy to
so
try.
If we create a newsletter, I could share that on Facebook and whatever.
Yeah, because the idea is if you get more comments, more likes, and more engagement on that, LinkedIn will promote that higher up in its algorithms and stuff. Right. Whereas if it's just taking the traffic off the platform to your website, LinkedIn's going to be like, oh, he's sending people away to my own to his own website. I'm not going to promote this as much. So LinkedIn and all these social media platforms, they want you to stay within the platform for as long as possible. So if you're trying to build the engagement around the post on that platform, that's going to help in the long term, more profile views and everything
rather than taking them to a blog post on my website.
But blog posts are good, and if your public profile is set up as fairly public on LinkedIn in terms of who can access that profile, they'll see your newsletters, and Google will see it, and Google will crawl that data as well. Whereas if your profile is set up, it's quite closed and only first degree connections can see it, Google's not going to be able to search it and find it. So it's important to set your profile settings up correctly as well.
Okay, thanks.
Brian,
Just thinking that for the photography thing, product managers and marketing people would probably be the key markets
Yeah.
that I'm looking at for photographers.
Yeah.
And there are groups for both of those on LinkedIn, probably
Mm.
multiple groups for both of those.
So does it, I mean, it's a pretty obvious if I join a group like that I'm going to be touting for work.
Yeah, but don't, it's how you go about doing it, and your approach.
Yeah.
Think about that audience and think about if you're going to start putting posts within that group.
Yeah.
Those posts need to be relevant to that audience. It needs to be adding value to them.
Yeah.
Rather than just, this is me, I need more business, come to me. We need to add value to that audience and think about
maybe
that
examples. Examples of things I've done and then recommendations.
Yeah, and the classic thing is understanding that audience's pain point, or going onto Google and say, what are marketers' top pain points when it comes to hiring photographers or whatever. And then if you can start to address those things, you're addressing the problems that audience has. So
you can do that on Google, can you?
Yeah, I would just do a Google search, top 5 challenges of a specific job title, and it will come up with hundreds of articles there about different things that people are facing with. And if you can bring a solution to that problem, people are going to be all ears, and you're not there as a this is my business, I need more business, it's promoting me. It's very much about I've identified the problem that you're facing and I've got a really good solution to it, and it's kind of coming in nicely. So that approach might work quite well.
I'd also suggest that you try using ChatGPT. Have you used it before?
I've just got onto it. It's incredible. I mean, the more I use it,
if you ask it the question that Alex was suggesting you Google, if you actually type into ChatGPT, what are the top 20 problems faced by people in marketing that can be solved by a good professional photographer? And it will probably give you those top 20 problems. And then you can ask it, what's the solution to each of these problems, and give you that as well. And post for you.
There's my subject, Matt. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, great idea. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I mean, it's perfect, really, because my problem in the past has been words, subject, writing. I'm not I'm not really a word person.
No.
And this is a brilliant tool,
Yeah, no, ChatGPT is a game changer in terms of marketing and what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the beauty is the content is evergreen. We're putting that out there. That is content that's going to sit around, and then you can come back to it in a year's time and just refine it if it needs tweaking. But it's kind of an asset that you can steer people to. So you might be having a conversation with a client, and that specific thing might pop up in discussion. You say, I wrote a blog part, I wrote a newsletter all about this. Have a read, and that will then, it's a little bit of an asset that you can then use within your business down the line. So it's it's building out kind of really nice assets and things like that. It's going to be helpful.
Brilliant.
Tina, you're on the call. Anything from Tina?
No, I think today's kind of reinforced a lot of the stuff that I was already aware of and trying to work on. So it's been really helpful from that point of view.
Excellent. Thanks, Tina. Really good to hear from you. Great. Bit of a shorter session, this one. Happy to stick around if anyone wants to chat a bit further. Whilst you're going to pipe up, Andy, I'm just going to head over to LinkedIn just to see if there's any comments on the actual live broadcast, because sometimes people put a comment on there.
Thought that occurred to me today, Alex, is that I should probably create a business page on LinkedIn for my new business, which just hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah, definitely. And normally you can link your current employment, your most recent employment position.
How do you tell the difference between a business LinkedIn page and a personal one?
So basically, under you go on to manage, you'll have companies, And then you can also have other things like showcase pages. So if it's like a brand or something.
My page is. So I've got a page which is Andy Whale branding photography. So that's definitely a business. How do you know? How do you
If you click on the drop down, I tend to just click on the drop down, the little picture of you in the top, next to notifications. And then you've got manage, and then you've got posts and activities, and then you've got a list of all the different things that you're involved with.
Right,
companies, I've got a showcase, which is like a brand. You get slightly different to a company page. But yeah, most of mine are set up.
You've got to have a personal one to set up a business, have you?
Yeah, I think that has to be started by a specific user.
Yeah. A bit like Facebook,
yeah. But that's where you would tweak it.
Yeah, I was going to I'm going to ask. I think I'm talking to you later anyway about doing a. So you think a newsletter instead of doing because we do the newsletter once a month, which would be a bit more in depth, would it, about that subject or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, about 750 to 1,500 words is a decent, size article.
And is SEO important on those things?
It will help if your profile is opened up. Then LinkedIn will, push that content.
But Google will
Google will find it, yeah, and it should draw people into it, yeah.
I always have a problem with that. Oh yeah, I was going to ask you, what's a long tail keyword string?
So they're basically when you have like 3 or 4 words in a line. So it could be photographer in Dorset.
That's a string.
That's a long term, long tail string.
So that will be treated as one search term.
Yeah. And then obviously where you link to it, and if you put it in the title or a subheading, then that will treat it and find it there. Because obviously you could go with a broad approach and just have photographer as a keyword, but that's going to bring up a lot of stuff. So you want to niche it down and think, right, what are going to be the specific search terms, and then you have those keywords in terms of that's more kind of on your website where it's more relevant.
Rather than the post.
Yeah. I would just say hello to Tony. Thank you for joining us, Tony. We're just actually about to finish off, but feel free to join us. I don't know if you've been watching the live stream and you want to have any input here. Might be connecting. Cool. Well, I think we'll wrap up there unless there's anything.
Creator, the creator mode you talked about.
Yes, yeah.
Where's that?
So if you go down to your profile.
Yeah.
Let me just share screen.
Yeah.
So you got this edit public profile URL at the top.
Hold on a minute. Where's that?
It's right at the top.
Edit public profile URL.
Yeah. And you'll have something that says creator mode, enable creator mode within that. Profile visibility. Did you say? I mean, you might already have it set up.
Edit content. I don't know.
Turn on creator mode in LinkedIn. So the me icon at the top, view your profile, scroll down to resources and click creator mode. So resources under your profile is what it says. So let's just have a look at that. So on your profile, resources is here, creator mode.
So you go you go to view profile.
It's kind of below the first big section about you.
Edit public profile and URL, yeah? Or not?
Yeah, it's the creator mode. It's a separate thing. if I copy this link, paste that on the chat, that might take you to it. So you might be able to click it straight on your side from the chat. That should take you into it. So it's where you see all these analytics and things, and you've got creator tools, LinkedIn Lives. It allows you to do LinkedIn Lives, LinkedIn audio events, newsletters, becomes available to you if you've got this creator mode turned on.
Yeah, under analytics and tools, is it?
Yeah.
Tool.
Yeah.
Creator tools. Right, creator tools. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So you did you have it already turned on?
Yeah.
There you go. Cool.
Thanks.
Right. I'm going to stop the recording there and wish you all a pleasant day.
Right. Thanks very much, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, Tina.